Hey folks, welcome back to Maple Farm, and literally I have just loaded the game up where we finished last time, and I am continuing because I've kind of not opened the game since last time, and I really didn't know what I was up to because I think it's been... So I think the last time I opened the game was the 11th of July. It's now the 23rd. So put the clock back to where it should be. That's a combination of two things. One, the trip that you guys, if you've been paying attention, were aware of because it was the teenagers' graduation. So did that. That went as well as could be expected, in that her graduation was really good, but spending time with the in-laws was super stressful. The thing that didn't go great was basically all of us got ill. So before her graduation, the teenager got ill. Now hers was largely stress-induced. This is something that happens with her quite commonly. What I wasn't expecting is that that would be something contagious. And I'm not sure it was, actually. I think probably the rest of us got something else, because we were stuffed in a small room with a lot of people, or larger room with a lot of people. I'm also going to replace the tyres on the Steyr, because they are freaking awful. Look at that, lovely tyres again. Yeah. So she was ill leading up to her graduation, and then got home on Thursday. Everyone was very tired, very fed up of being around the in-laws, not just me, being antisocial. Let's put the baler on a better tractor. We need to get the rest of the grain out of that, actually. So let's jump out of there. Jump in there. Not sure why it wasn't letting me tab into that. But let's get the trailer again. I didn't realise there was still grain in the combine. Get the rest of the grain. Yeah, so got home on Thursday. Everyone was very tired. I was supposed to work on Friday, but I didn't feel like it, so I took an extra day off. Sunday, started feeling ill. Worked on Monday. Got told by one of my work colleagues, "Why are you working? You sound really ill." But, it's like first day back after a week off. But it feels a bit sus to then go, "Oh, I don't feel well. I'm going to be off sick now." That always feels a bit sus to me, personally. So, yeah, worked on Monday. And then have been off Tuesday and Wednesday this week. It's now Thursday. And that's part of the reason why there's also been no content, because I didn't feel like making videos. We've got soybeans growing somewhere, haven't we? When are the soybeans going to be ready to harvest? Not for a while. I'm going to return the combine once it's empty. So let's go in here. Vehicles. And New Holland. So return. 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 Awesome. Right. Yeah. So basically, I've been ill for like 3 or 4 days, and feeling really freaking rough. Today, I've still felt pretty freaking rough, actually. But, we get on with things. Actually, I'm generally really not great at just getting on with things when I'm ill. But I figured I'd try and make a YouTube video because it's fun. But yeah, because I'm not actually looked at this in ages. I thought I'd just load up the save and see where we are and what he's doing. So we're here and we're doing things. What state is our grain dryer in? We still have wood, so I'm just going to bang the dryer on and get the oats drying, and we might as well just leave that there actually. Now, what's the weather forecast? So for that we need the calendar. So I think what we do is we jump in. Why is it not letting me tab to the things that I want to tab to? Because that says it's not parked, but it's behaving like it's parked, which is weird. Let's jump in here. Let's park and unpark this. Let's check the moisture in the grass. But I think, yeah, we're going to cut the grass. It's 34 Celsius, 13% moisture. So, yeah. Then it can dry whilst we bale the straw. And then we'll let's get a course set up. I think a double headland will be sufficient. Right. Control V, Control B. Can I do a Control B? I can't seem to do a Control B. Okay. So let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. Right. Yeah. So I'll get the mowing done, and then we'll give this a bit of time to dry au natural. We'll bale the straw. Maybe. Who knows? We only have time to do all of that. I know. Who knows how long we'll be here for? 410? Something like that on average, allegedly. I actually know what the average lifespan is in the UK now, and only a small fraction of you are actually in the UK. So whatever the average lifespan is in the country you're in, statistically, most of you are in the US, which is probably a lower number because, you know, the US has one of the lower lifespans of most countries. Anyway, let's not get into that, shall we? I had a really random YouTube deep dive lately. So I've been, none of this is financial advice, by the way, because, you know, I've been looking to move where I have some of my money, some of my savings. And so I have it in the UK, we have something called an ISA, which allows you to get tax-free savings. So we pay tax on interest in the UK, if you're not aware. And so I was looking at moving it to a better one. I put it into an investment fund ages ago and just left it. And lately it's not been doing very well. So I was looking to move it, and I was doing some research on that, including looking at some YouTube videos, because, you know, YouTube has everything. And that took me down a really random YouTube wander, which ended up looking at stocks and shares and stuff. And so I've been, not with real money, because, you know, this stuff is actually quite difficult, it would appear, to actually make money on the stock market. But I've been playing with fake money on the stock market, because a lot of investment sites allow you to play with fake money. And yeah, I'm not good at that, it would appear. So there's a whole industry on YouTube. And I think it's partly because there's a lot of people who want to try and get rich making money on the stock market. So there's a good audience for people making videos on how you get rich on the stock market, because like when you sign up for these things, it basically tells you you're gonna lose money. Something like 70 odd percent of people lose money when they invest in the stock market. I suspect it's actually more than that. But anyway, yeah. So I think there's a big audience for how to make money on the stock market on YouTube, and basically I meandered my way through these videos, and you watch these videos and they're like, oh, you just followed this simple strategy and you will make money. And so in my time of meandering through being a YouTuber and stuff, you get recommended all sorts of videos for do this to be successful YouTuber and all these kind of things. And I've tried a few of these things, not on my YouTube channel because I don't want to ruin my YouTube channel, but I've tried a few experiments in different places. None of them work, by the way. Basically, I think what it is the videos on how to become are popular because people who aren't are looking for ways to get out of whatever they're stuck in, people want ways to make money without putting in a lot of effort. So it's quite a bit later than the last clip you've just been watching, like over 24 hours later, because life interrupts things. And so I had to do some other stuff. I've done a half a day at work since, because it's Friday and I work half days on Friday. And yeah, that's just the way things go. I think I was rambling about YouTube tutorials for these kind of quick money making things and stuff, because I have been watching some about stock trading, mostly for interest, I think I'm realizing, because like you start watching these things and you have these typically younger folks confidently telling you that if you just apply their 5-minute thing, you'll be rich, basically, having had a really long, impossible to read disclaimer at the start of the video. And usually these days there's lots of comments then in the videos which are predominantly generated by bots, interestingly. And there's like this whole culture across various things. The ones that I've been watching lately are around stock trading, and with how my brain works, I tend to latch onto things and hyper focus on them. And so I've been playing a little bit with this on Trading 212. It's a site that I actually use for investing some other money in on some not stupid risky stuff, in a tax-free savings thing. But they have a mode where you can essentially play being a stockbroker. And I've been looking at a few of these things just to see if it actually works. And unsurprisingly, actually relatively difficult. But there's a few things to chat about around that, I guess. Since then, I've been playing with ChatGPT and getting it to code an app for this, just to see, because the website has an interface for apps, to see if I can make things work more successfully. And I got today about 2/3 of the way through developing that before I ran out of free access to the good bits of ChatGPT. So that was quite good fun. And most of this is about having fun. I don't think it's going to make me rich, realistically. Because if you could watch a few YouTube videos and get rich, a lot of people would be rich, wouldn't they? And then there's this other thing. There's this whole genre of videos on do this simple thing to get rich, and it's always marketed as low effort, high return. And so as experiments, I've played with a few of them. Yeah, that's it. I skipped it a little bit. There's a I've experimented with a few of these different things just as kind of experiments and out of curiosity. None of them work. Maybe they did for a little one in the past, but yeah, none of them work. Again, if they did, a bunch of people would be doing them, making money. Or I guess none of them have worked for me in the way I've tried to implement them. A lot of them involve use of AI tools to do things, to mass produce essentially slop content. So I've not done it through through this YouTube channel because I don't want to ruin it. But I think these days things like YouTube have filters to detect that and stop promoting it. So yeah, maybe they worked for a little while, but more and more stuff like that gets filtered out. There was a thing, sort of yesterday, I think it was, that Spotify removed either hundreds of thousands or millions of AI-generated songs. You can now quite easily go on a website and for free generate purely AI-generated music that you can then upload with full rights to, all for very little money. And obviously real musicians don't like that. And a lot of the AI tools that are generating this are trained off of their music. And there was a small, on Instagram, a small musician that had found out that their music had been used to train AI, and they found an AI generated song that was essentially one of their songs. And like, if you ask an AI song generation tool to generate if you give it the right prompt, you'll essentially get famous blues songs out of it. And if you're young, you don't realize this kind of thing. So yeah, basically, most of this stuff doesn't work. And I guess people clearly make money out of trading stocks and shares. The ones that institutionally make lots of money out of it are either, I guess, have some amazing natural talent, or are using lots of very powerful computing, are relying on it's one of the last of, I think, recent LTT videos that I've watched, because I haven't watched them in a while. They went to visit a big data center months ago, and one of the rooms they had was just spools and spools of fiber optic cable. And what that was an interface for stock trading institutions, so that they all had the same latency, so none of them were benefiting from being slightly closer to a stock exchange. And so, yeah, although you can, I think it's really hard. And yeah, I don't know. I think it was just something that just kind of has interested my brain for a bit. It's absorbed my brain a lot while I was, I had like a couple of days, maybe like 3 or 4 days of not feeling particularly great, and just being sat about with not a lot to do, not particularly feeling like playing games. And I tried to play some Timberborn over the weekend, and I was just so worn out that I didn't really feel like doing that. So I was just sitting watching YouTube, and the algorithm took me to some different places. And so I was watching a bunch of these videos. I say some of it was looking for some stuff that I needed, some information that I wanted. And the algorithm algorithmed me. And one of the things I really dislike about YouTube, it seems to me at the moment, is the algorithm is very fast at adapting. And so currently my YouTube algorithm is full of this stuff. It's almost exclusively just videos about this kind of stuff. And hopefully I can retrain it quite quickly. But yeah. Anyway, that was that kind of really weird discussion. But yeah, I guess the answer is there are no quick wins in life, folks, unless I guess you somehow win the lottery. But hey, look at the odds of that. In the UK, it was, I think, about 17 million to 1 when it first came out. I don't know what it is now because they might have changed it. I don't follow it particularly. Yeah. I mean, it's a bit like just doing this. The odds of being massively successful at this are low. You need the right combination, I guess, of personality. Which let's not go there. Unique product, finding your audience, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, timing to some extent. So, since the last time is FSG has put out his, is it the YouTube Farmer, whatever is called it, and it's been one of the rare farm sim videos I've watched recently. I actually watched the premiere of it as it came out. It's very well done, very, very well done. I mean, the production value of his stuff is usually a level above most things. Puts me to shame, clearly, because I'm just a guy who rambles and plays the game. And, I'm not normally one for a roleplay, which that very definitely is. You can very definitely see what he's pulling from, and he's done a very good job of it. I was commenting on the live, because it was a premiere, there was a live chat. I said in that, I hate to think of the amount of hours of production time that went into trying to make that first 20 odd minute video, however long it was. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I was paying attention enough. Were there continuity errors? I don't know. I'm not complaining if there were. I'm sure a couple of times I spotted a field that I thought he'd maybe power harrowed that suddenly wasn't, or whatever. But I don't care. I could be wrong, because he worked more than one field at a time, and either way, just a very well put together product. I never watched Daggerwin's roleplay stuff, because roleplay doesn't interest me, but I suspect what FSG did put that to shame. I was expecting like the talking characters, because he'd done that in something else. But the fact that some of the characters were holding props, now I don't know if that's something that's in a mod now, because I've not looked at that kind of thing. It could be. It was all very good. It was very well done. Yeah. The man puts a lot of work in. And it shows, And he's a nice guy as well. So, anywho, it was a good video. If you haven't watched it, even if you don't like that style of video, watch the first one just to see what it is, because it is very good. Will I watch all of them? Maybe not. Say roleplay is not the kind of thing I normally watch, but it was really interesting to see how he'd managed to push production. So yeah, watch it for that, just to see what can be done with the game. So I hate to think how much effort went into actually making that, because I bet there was a lot of doing things, pausing, saving, going backwards, going forwards. Must have been a very non-linear process. So yeah, awesome work, sir. Awesome work. Anyway, yeah, I've jumped back over to the straw because we should get that baled. And my thinking was the weather's pretty good, so maybe the hay will dry a little bit. And we might get away with a single tedding. I don't know if we will or not. Yeah, the other thing, I've been promising for absolutely ages to do a video on moisture system. And one of the other things that I did over the weekend was start the process. If you're not a timber fan, you won't get the reference to process. It is a process, folks. Yeah, I started the process of, and if you're a Timberborn fan that like just watches my videos, you won't get that because it's another Timberborn creator. But anyway, started the process of putting together the PowerPoint slides because there's always a PowerPoint for a video on moisture system. When will I get it finished? I don't know. Will Oz update it before I get it finished? Maybe. But I've started. I don't know. I'm traveling all of next week so the downside of being off ill this week is it meant, well, there's a good and a bad. There's two parts to this. The plus is I didn't go into the office. The downside is I didn't go into the office, which means I've got to go into the office. Well, I would say more next week, but I can't because I'm traveling a lot. So I'm basically going to be away all of next week. I'm staying in a hotel I haven't stayed in a really long time, and I have no idea what their internet's like. So uploading may be tricky. So I'm just going to kind of have to see how it goes, I guess. At the worst, I'll come away with a big stockpile of stuff to upload. And if that is the case, then I might actually end up getting that PowerPoint finished, you know. I think I'm like maybe a third of the way through. There's quite a lot of features to moisture system, and it's had the big weather update. I don't know if I've got it in here. I don't know if I've turned off the key for settings. Let me control zone it. Moisture system with a Control Shift Numpad Plus. We changed it, didn't we? Let's remap it. Because I was having conflicts, wasn't I? Control M. Save and OK. Get rid of you and get rid of you. There we go. So, yeah. That's the new one because it's got the new weather menu. So it's like percentage chance of rain or weather type, I guess. And yeah, there's some other features as well with the weather, which are really quite cool. So it sort of makes use of the base weather system, but you can have different types of year, which I thought was really cool. So you can get like a dry year, a wet year. So like if you pick the different regions in the UK, you can get like a dry summer, a wet spring, that kind of thing. Cool. It's very cool. And then within that year, then you get different types of weather that happen. And each year has each type of weather year has a likelihood of occurring. It's really cool. Really cool. It's very well done. Be interesting, I should see how, because the mod come out today, I think it was today, calendar mod. I've got a feeling that's been available elsewhere for a while, like maybe on a GitHub. But it's on ModHub now. I've got a feeling it's been on a GitHub for a while. Because I'm sure I've seen it elsewhere. But, yeah. Be interesting if those two compare, if they're compatible and the calendars overlined well, because then you could have like UK weather with a proper UK growth calendar, and then like red tape, and things would be getting pretty darn good, to be honest. Things would be getting pretty darn good, in my humble opinion of the game. I'm sure some of you are then pondering, well, where's Maze Plus? Well, the last update I saw was at some point. If I remember, I will go look at the last post from Paul on the Maze Plus Discord, and I'll try and stick it in the edit. There's a very good chance I'll forget. But basically, if you go look in the general channel on the Maze Plus Discord, there's usually a pinned post from Paul, because someone's usually asked recently, when's it coming out? Is it not coming out? Whatever. But yeah, I don't really know. As I've said a few times, not particularly involved at the moment. If/when it comes out, I'll do a bunch of videos on it, like I've done in the past. I'll do the same stuff. But yeah, not so involved in things. And like when people ask questions on the Discord, I answer them if I can remember or find. Someone asked for like all of the FS19 maps, and one of the other guys had a link where they'd been collated, and thankfully I remembered where it was, so I kind of shared that and things. Actually, I uninstalled FS22 today off of one of my computers. I was running out of disk space. I have too much stuff everywhere. So this is a 12.9%. So we're going to do a bunch of tedding, but I think I'm going to do that next time. I also think that we might get ourselves a bigger tedder. We probably can't afford it. Realistically, so we might have to stick with the 6-meter tedder. Let's have a little peek in the old sales. Nope. Okay, yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's going to be it for today. So, I will see you all next time. Thank you to the patrons and the YouTube channel members. You are awesome, as always. See ya.